stories. Nationally, Ramada workers in St. Kitts strike on Christmas Day, claiming they have not been paid. And SKN's PM says too long young men's dreams deferred in Christmas message. Regionally, Puerto Rico enacts for gun overhaul of firearms laws. Internationally, Russian police says opposition leader Alexei Navalny's office. And in sports, Clippers beat Lakers in Los Angeles and Enes Kanter plays outside the U.S. We'll have the details of these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse.
Wow.
Welcome back. Another national news in detail. As many families and homes across St. Kitts and Nevis gather together to celebrate Christmas on Wednesday, December 25th, that was not the case for some. Some workers at one of the hotels in St. Kitts were involved in a strike. Reports reaching the VON Newsline indicate that workers at the Ramada Hotel in St. Paul's were engaged in a strike due to workers claiming they are not being paid. Videos circulating on social media showed workers throwing what appeared to be parts of picket fences into the street outside of the hotel. The video footages also showed a number of foreign workers blocking the main road in the vicinity. The VON Newsline will bring more on this story as it develops. St. Kitts and Nevis's Prime Minister Dr. Honorable Timothy Harris has expressed the view that it is necessary to put an end to the pattern of marginalized youths or gang members being cut off by way of gang violence. The Prime Minister, in his Christmas message to the nation on Wednesday, December 25th, said major crimes for 2019 had fallen significantly.
For far too long, too many of our young men's dreams had been deferred as a result of juvenile delinquency, gang activity, and underemployment. But that too many lives had also been cut short by gun violence. The senseless killings happened too frequently and for too long, in the absence of a well-thought-out holistic plan to contain and curb it. I am happy to report that homicides have fallen most dramatically by 48%.
He added that the youths are now in a better position.
Many of our at-risk young men have now developed their ideas into viable business plans and receive seed funding for projects that run the gamut from agriculture to landscaping, nature tours, car rentals, and other legitimate entrepreneurial activities. Helping at-risk youth is high on our list of priorities, and our efforts have helped us to build safer streets and communities. What's more, these once marginalized men and their families have found God's peace in their hearts and minds. The Peace Initiative gave them a sense of hope that they too can dream about building a brighter future.
Prime Minister Dr. Honorable Timothy Harris. The Peace Initiative, which was introduced in March 2019, is a program aimed at helping gang members to make a transition from a life of crime to a productive lifestyle through alternative ventures such as construction, entrepreneurship, etc. Meanwhile, leader of the opposition, Dr. Honorable Denzel Douglas, in his Christmas message, told the nation that his next-gen SKN team intends to bring to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis a new dispensation dispensation after the 2020 general elections. Dr. Douglas, who is also the leader of St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, said that the party remains devoted to serving the wonderful people of our federation, both those resident here and in the diaspora. He added that love for our fellow men and compatriots, as well as compassion for those in need, such as the sick, the elderly, is needed. He expressed the view that too many of our countrymen and women are faced with big problems and need solutions now. Two artists have been added to the roster for the 2020 edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival. The Grammy-nominated reggae artist Chronixx is slated to take the stage. The announcement was made on Saturday, 21st December during the Cane Juice Cooler Fete. Local band Collision, with hits such as A Big Shake and Gaze Master, have also been contracted to perform. Chronixx and Collision Band will join reggae icon Jimmy Cliff, Grammy nominee Koffee, and Afrobeat star Wizkid. The St. Kitts Music Festival is scheduled to take place from June 24th to June 28th, 2020. The festival will be held at the Kim Collins Stadium. Individuals participating in the 2019 Sugar Mass 48 festivities are being encouraged to adhere to the security protocols that are put in place to ensure a safe carnival season. The call comes from the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. Superintendent for Division A, Mr. Cromwell Henry, while appearing on a recent edition of the Policing with You program, urged citizens to assist in keeping the peace and to report any suspicious or illegal activity during the carnival season by calling the crime hotline at 707. He noted that for the major events such as Juve, where large crowds will be gathered, the police will be heavily enforcing the no glass bottle policy to prevent bottles being used as weapons. The superintendent further urged persons to be cognizant of their surroundings, especially in large crowds with the major upcoming events. Superintendent Henry warned that the police would be closely monitoring for vendors who occupy spaces in town without the proper approvals from the Carnival Committee during Sugar Mass, and explained that existing legislation permits the Carnival Committee to charge for the use of spaces in Barsteer within the Carnival area for the sale of goods. Reports reaching the VON Newsline have revealed that an accident occurred on Christmas Day, Wednesday, December 25th. Additionally, reports say that the incident took place in the vicinity of Trinity in St. Kitts. It is unknown if anyone was seriously injured or if any fatalities were recorded. The details remain sketchy, but the VON Newsline will provide more on this story as it develops. Prior to this accident, SKN has recorded 4 road fatalities for 2019. Crime statistics for 2019 are currently lower than the last 2 years. So says Assistant Commissioner of Police with responsibility for operations, Adolph Adams. He made the statement while appearing on a recent Policing with You radio program. ACP Adams said that this achievement is largely due to the various strategies that were implemented by the High Command in their 2019 policing plan. He explained that the High Command set a mandate to reduce major crimes by at least 20%, which the police force has been successful in attaining. As a result, St. Kitts and Nevis has been a much safer place to live and to do business, according to the ACP. In recent times, he said more of their programs are geared towards children so they can be nurtured and guided in a positive direction. The National Intervention Team had become the face of the organization as it relates to community policing. He noted that they have several community outreach programs, including the Explorers Clubs. Currently, the clubs have a membership of over 700. The construction began on the Tourism Tenders Pier at the Charleston waterfront in Nevis. The western end of the pier was previously constructed more than 2 years ago. Back in November of this year, Premier of Nevis, Honorable Mark Brantley, said that construction of the pier was earmarked for the period November 1st to December 23rd, 2019. Following the announcement of the construction, Nevis's Premier, Honorable Mark Brantley, said the work at the pier will not hamper the cruise season. In terms of what caused the damage to the pier, adverse weather seriously damaged the pier 2 years ago and rendered the pier unusable to the public. A sitting of the National Assembly has been slated for Friday, December 27th at 10 a.m. According to the order paper which has been circulated, the sitting will be held at the National Assembly Chambers Government Headquarters in Barstier, St. Kitts. During the sitting, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. Honorable Timothy Harris, will seek leave to introduce and have read the first time Fiscal Incentives Amendment Bill 2019. In addition, the Prime Minister will move the second reading of Fiscal Incentives Amendment Bill 2019. Prime Minister Harris, a national political leader of the People's Labour Party PLP, Dr. Honorable Timothy Harris, has assured the people of constituency number 6 of continued support by the Team Unity government. On Sunday, the PLP helped spread Christmas cheer to the nation's children by holding 13 kiddies' Christmas parties across 3 constituencies, number 3, number 6, and number 7. According to PM Harris, the Team Unity government will, in the coming year, be holding a number of town hall meetings, and constituency number 6 and Sadler's Village, in particular, will be included. Meanwhile, this also comes in light of the fact that the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis is due for a general election. The election is constitutionally due by early 2020. The PLP currently has 1 seat in the 11 constituencies across the Federation. And finally, some 120 bicycles were donated to the students of the Bronte Welch Primary School in St. Kitts. Daryl Ned and Sherilyn Ned of Ned Solutions were the donors. Last year, they agreed to adopt the Bronte Welch Primary School, and in December 2018, they made their first donation to the students in the form of toys for all students. The bikes will ensure that students will be as active and healthy as they possibly can. The bike parts were brought to St. Kitts and assembled by a group of local persons led by the Coast Guard personnel. The bikes were assembled in time for distribution at the school's Christmas party. Each student received a bike, and the donation, one of the largest to any school in the Federation for Christmas 2019. That's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Drive in style with your brand new vehicle. Compliments the Bank of Nevis Limited. We are offering 100% financing on all brand new vehicles with a very competitive interest rate. But that's not all. We are giving you up to 7 years to repay. That's right, 7 years. Contact us by phone or come into our branch today. All right. The Bank of Nevis Limited. My bank, your bank, our bank. The Bank of Nevis Limited. Improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook.
Who got the keys to my bimmer?
Welcome back. Another regional news in detail. Out of Puerto Rico. The 3.5 million residents of the United States' largest territory will soon be able to better exercise their Second Amendment rights. On December 11th, Puerto Rico Governor Wanda Vasquez signed the Puerto Rico Weapons Act of 2020. The legislation overhauled the territory's gun laws in a manner that will make it easier for the island's residents and visitors to exercise their constitutional right to keep and bear arms, according to NRELA.org. The legislation's most important provisions pertain to the territory's firearms licensing program. Prior to the enactment of the Weapons Act, Puerto Ricans can apply for a possession license or a much harder to obtain carry license. The Weapons Act combines the 2 licenses into a single license. Moreover, this single license will be shall issue. Shall issue laws mean that a state must issue a permit once the applicant has met the specific requirements outlined by the state. In shall issue states, once the requirements are met, the permit by law must be issued. Previously, Puerto Ricans were required to petition a court for the approval of a carry permit. The legislation also puts in place a flat $200 initial licensing fee and a $100 renewal fee. This is a significant improvement over the old regime, where firearm licensing fees could range wildly. Puerto Rico's Weapons Act is an important step forward for law-abiding gun owners in the island territory. Out of Antigua. According to 721news.com, the Caribbean Guyana Institute for Democracy, CGID, is deeply concerned that Antigua and Barbuda government authorities have not resolved allegations that twin babies were stolen from Guyanese national Miss Kioma Heimer minutes after they were born in a hospital in Antigua on September 7, 2004, while she was in transit there. Evidence suggests that 14-year-old twins are alive. One allegedly resides in Antigua and the other in the U.S. It is inexplicable that this matter remains unresolved. Consequently, CGID has asked the U.S. State Department and the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, to investigate this allegation as it potentially constitutes abduction and human trafficking. Miss Kioma Heimer is a Guyanese national from Mexiconi, ECD, who was 19 years old and 7 months pregnant when she boarded a late flight from Guyana to St. Martin on September 4, 2004. The flight transited in Antigua, where she became ill. She was transported by ambulance to Halberton Hospital in St. John's, Antigua, now renamed Mount St. John Medical Center, and was admitted. Incidentally, Miss Heimer gave birth to identical twin girls prematurely on September 7, 2004, at Halberton Hospital. After delivery, Miss Heimer saw her babies alive and heard them cry. She watched as a group of nurses took them away. This was witnessed by other patients. This was the last time she saw the twins. Out of Jamaica. The Supreme Court on Tuesday refused application for leave to apply for judicial review by former Education Minister Roel Reed and Caribbean Maritime University CMU President Professor Fritz Pinnock, challenging the criminal charges filed against them by the Financial Investigations Division, FID. The decision was handed down by Chief Justice Brian Sykes a week after the matter was heard in chambers. Attorneys representing Reed and Pinnock filed the application last October, seeking to nullify the charges of breaches of the Corruption Prevention Act, conspiracy to defraud, misconduct in a public office at common law, and breaches of the Proceeds of Crime Act. The arrest followed months of controversy surrounding contract procurements at CMU involving people close to the former education minister. For months, the matter played out before Parliament's Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, from which Pinnock and officials of the Education Ministry came under pressure over the contracts. There were shockwaves across the country when Reed was sacked by Prime Minister Andrew Holness in March 2018. The two accused filed the application on the grounds that the FID did not have the power to arrest and charge anyone, given that it is an investigative body. Reed, his wife Sharon, their daughter Sharelle, as well as Professor Pinnock and Jamaican Labour Party councillor Kim Brown Lawrence were arrested and charged on October 9th in relation to a corruption probe at CMU and the Education Ministry. And finally, the government of Jamaica has approved the issuance of a diplomatic passport and has conferred the title of Ambassador for Jamaica on Miss World 2019, Tony Ann Singh. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement earlier this week. The documents were officially presented to Singh during an earlier courtesy call at the office of the Prime Minister. According to Jamaica Observer, Holness said in a tweet that Tony Ann will be able to travel the world with the blessing of our country, as well as adding value to both Miss World organization and brand Jamaica. That's it for the regional stories. Stay with us for news from around the world. Welcome back, and now the international news in detail. Alexei Navalny has been targeted again in a raid on his anti-corruption center. It comes after one of his allies was forcibly sent to a remote outpost in the Arctic. Russian politician Alexei Navalny was dragged by police today during a raid on his anti-corruption foundation FBK headquarters in Moscow, according to his spokeswoman. The Prime Minister still has solid support in Lukin, but this is the most serious internal challenge he has faced in a decade of power and shows cracks in the party's united front. The BBC's Sarah Rainsford reports.
Posted online by Alexei Navalny and his team shows sparks flying as the door of their office is forced open by security forces. Officers in face masks then order staff against the wall as they begin a search and confiscate equipment. Alexei Navalny says at one point he was dragged out of the office, but he wasn't detained. The anti-corruption activist and Russia's most prominent opposition politician says this latest raid is connected to the refusal to delete a film from the internet accusing Russia's Prime Minister of corruption.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is being challenged for the leadership of his party in what is seen as a test of his hold on power. He is facing long-term rival Gideon Sa'ar in internal Likud party elections. Although Mr. Netanyahu is expected to win, it comes at a time of mounting difficulties for the veteran leader. More in this BBC report.
Pressures on Benjamin Netanyahu have mounted over the past year. He has failed to form a government after 2 inconclusive elections, and in November he was indicted on corruption charges. Likud members are fiercely loyal to their leader, but the Prime Minister's challenger Gideon Sa'ar says they should put the party first, that Mr. Netanyahu won't be able to deliver them a victory in the 3rd election set for March. Mr. Sa'ar is a former cabinet minister and popular member of Likud. He isn't expected to win, but he could weaken Mr. Netanyahu's grip on the party if he puts in a strong showing.
Turkey's constitutional court has ruled that the country's block on accessing Wikipedia is unconstitutional. The court said the ban violated rights concerning freedom of expression and ordered it to be lifted. The Turkish government barred the website in 2017 because of entries suggesting Turkey had cooperated with jihadist militants in Syria. Turkish censors have also temporarily blocked websites carrying content critical of the government.
The ruling is a significant victory for the Wikimedia Foundation, which had challenged the ban both in Turkey and at the European Court of Human Rights. It said it strongly opposed both censorship or threats leading to self-censorship. The Ankara-based Constitutional Court said the ban had indeed violated rights concerning freedom of expression and ordered it to be lifted. It had been imposed over articles alleging Turkey supported militant groups in Syria, including Islamic State. Turkey figures towards the bottom of a global index for media freedom put together by the organisation Reporters Without Borders.
And finally, people across Asia witnessed an annular solar eclipse, which is also known as a ring of fire. Crowds gathered to watch the natural phenomenon in a number of countries, including Sri Lanka, Indonesia, India, and Saudi Arabia. In an annular eclipse, the moon covers the center of the sun, giving the appearance of a bright ring. More in this BBC report.
Thousands of people in Asia and the Middle East made special efforts to catch the rare event. UAE residents flocked out to the remote Zayed city, more than 2 hours' drive from Dubai, in order to get the best seat to witness the annular solar eclipse. It was the only place in the country where people could watch the eclipse and see the ring of fire, where the moon covers only most of the sun, leaving the edges lit up. In Saudi Arabia, astronomers, tourists and locals gathered on top of Jabal Arba in the east of the country to witness the eclipse during sunrise.
That brings us to the end of our news segments. The latest in sports is next.
You made a list and checked it twice. Gifts for the family, home renovations, new car, debt consolidation. Come in and finance all your Christmas dreams this season with a Christmas loan from TDC Financial Services. Get up to $50,000 with $35,000 unsecured and up to 4 years to repay. Win awesome prizes like 55-inch smart televisions, tablets, and much, much more. TDC is Christmas, where money is made easy.
Welcome back. Another sports in detail. In basketball, All-Star Kawhi Leonard helped the Los Angeles Clippers come from behind to beat still rivals the Los Angeles Lakers in a packed Christmas Day NBA schedule. Leonard had 35 points and 12 rebounds in the Clippers' 111-106 win. Meanwhile, Turkish-born center Enes Kanter played his first match outside the U.S. for more than a year as the Boston Celtics beat the Toronto Raptors 118-102 in Canada. Kanter, 27, has been a critic of Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. In January 2019, Turkish prosecutors issued an international warrant for his arrest, and he told the BBC he was trapped in the U.S. Before Wednesday's match, he posted on Twitter, "I'm free," alongside a Canadian flag. Jaylen Brown scored 30 points and Kemba Walker added 22 to beat Toronto 118-102, ending the Canadian side's 34-game home winning run against Atlantic Division team. Still in basketball. The Utah Jazz apparently are not content turning their season around with the roster they have. The Jazz traded former 5th overall pick Dante Exum to Cleveland in exchange for veteran combo guard Jordan Clarkson. Utah will also send 2 second-round picks in the deal. Cleveland has agreed to trade Jordan Clarkson to Utah for Dante Exum, league sources tell ESPN. Utah had signed Exum in a 3-year, $33 million contract last summer, but injuries continued to plague the 6'5" guard's career. The Australian native has played just 67 total regular season games over the last 3 years and has seen his backup point guard role entrusted to Emmanuel Mudiay. Clarkson steps in as a healthier alternative after having missed just 5 total games over the previous 4 seasons. Still just 27 years old, Clarkson is averaging 14.6 points while shooting 37.1% from three-point range, further strengthening the most accurate three-point shooting team in the league. The Cavaliers, meanwhile, will add Exum to a core of young guards seeking to fulfill their potential. Cleveland already boasts the second-year man Colin Sexton and 2019's 5th overall pick in Darius Garland. And finally, in cricket, Steve Smith hit an unbeaten 77 and Australia ended day 1 on 257 for 4 to take control of the second test against New Zealand in Melbourne. In front of a crowd of 80,473 at the MCG, New Zealand's Kane Williamson won the toss and opted to bowl. It looked to be a good decision with John Burns out first ball and David Warner dismissed just before lunch. Summarized scores: Australia 257 for 4. New Zealand is yet to bat. That's it for sports. The general weather report is next. Welcome back. And now the look over the forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. Weather tonight will be mostly fair with a little shower activity. Weather tomorrow will be partly cloudy to cloudy with 50% or moderate chance of showers. Winds are south to southwest at 3 to 10 knots or 6 to 19 kilometers per hour. Seas are 1.2 to 1.5 meters or 4 to 5 feet. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:38 a.m. And that's a wrap up the major news package for today, Thursday, December 26, 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, Mamada workers in St. Kitts strike on Christmas Day, claiming they have not been paid. And SKN's PM says 2 long young men's dreams deferred in Christmas message. Regionally, Puerto Rico enacts pro-gun overhaul of firearms laws. Internationally, Russian police raids opposition leader Alexei Navalny's office. And in sports, Clippers beat Lakers in Los Angeles and Enes Kanter plays outside the U.S. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tashan Tyson, wishing you a pleasant evening.